Yeah, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. Well, I got sick. Sicker than I've felt in years. Rough cough, runny nose, stuffed sinuses, the whole shebang. So with a fever of 102, I figured what better time than now to binge all of the 2026 Best Picture nominees. I'm sure that's gonna go well. First up, let's start with everyone's top contender. F1. I watched this movie at my absolute foggiest. Ears muffled, pressure behind the eyes, crunchy cough throughout. And I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to be watched. I figured I should start my binge with something more easy to consume, which is why this movie took me 2 days to finish. F1 stars Brad Pitt as Sonny Hayes, a retired F1 prodigy whose career was quickly derailed by a crash early on. 30 years have passed and suddenly he runs into an old teammate and friend, Javier Bardem, who now owns a struggling F1 team. Javier begs Brad to come and race for his team and frames it as a sort of last shot at redemption. So Brad Pitt needs to team up with the guy from Snowfall, a young hotshot rookie driver, to save the team from failing by winning at least one Grand Prix. This movie was directed by Joseph Kosinski, the same guy that directed Top Gun Maverick just a few years ago. That should come as no surprise to you, because this movie is just Top Gun Maverick. With cars, mind you. An aging legend forced to return and mentor a young, cocky generation. Led by his old teammate/rival, he must take on one last near-impossible mission to prove he's still got it. Even the romance subplot's the same, in that they don't really do much with it. It's just kind of there. I'm bored. Both movies just kind of feel like their main purpose is to make my dad go, hell yeah. And that's fine. It just sometimes feels a little gratuitous. The amount of scenes we see of 60-year-old Brad Pitt, shirtless, ripped, going, still got it. It's too much. It's wild. I will say there were some fun things throughout. At one point, we're watching Brad Pitt training, and he's doing all these classic old-timey training things, and it contrasts with the Snowfall guy, who's training very high-tech. It's a fun back and forth. But it's broken up with scenes like this.
Hold on. You swan into our garage like some entitled prick.
Swan?
Calling us piss poor, and then you drive
What's
like
swan?
that. Huh?
You said I swan. What's that mean?
You're an arsehole. You come in like an arsehole. You swan.
So swans are assholes.
That felt like a scene from Ted Lasso. The dialogue in this movie is just rough and cheesy, and by the time any intense dramatic scenes happen, I'm like, what the fuck? Anyways, this movie was way too long and just okay. I'd probably give it like a 2.5 out of 5. Next. The next day, I decided to watch Train Dreams with my girlfriend, who was now also very sick. And I gotta say, more like Train Nightmares. that guy's having a bad time. Train Dreams is gorgeous and touching and painful, and that's about all I can say about it. I know it's ridiculous because I said so much about F1, but this movie's really hard to pinpoint my thoughts on, because this movie truly feels like a poem. A tragic but hopeful poem that focuses on love, loss, guilt, the passage of time, and isolation. It's a true slice of life, but more than a slice. It's a chunk of life. We follow the story of Robert, a logger and a railroad worker whose life unfolds on screen. We see him work, fall in love, raise a daughter, and lose it all. We see him deal with the idea of aging. We see him try really hard to hold on to his old life as the world rapidly changes around him. It's a really nice, warm movie that's horribly cold in the middle. And for a movie about life, I feel like that's really fitting. Also, it's a movie that takes place during a time in history that I think goes really under-recognized. The fact that most of this movie feels old-timey and aged, and then by the end of it, we're watching Robert see a space shuttle take flight on a television. It's such a unique, recent time in our history that was probably very scary for some people to live through. I also love how gently this movie moves along. Scenes linger and the scenery is so gorgeous that sometimes you forget that you just watched a man get hit so hard by a falling tree branch that he went crazy and died. The gentleness and softness of how much of this movie looks is what makes those rough scenes and sometimes downright brutal scenes stand out all the more. Really great movie, really great performances. I feel like this guy looks like he should be in the olden days, you know? And overall, I just really love how this movie looks. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5. Next.
Ooh, sorry, this is on your video.
The next day I was feeling a bit better and I decided to watch Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. And, holy shit. Guys, this movie might be better than F1. I'm not trying to pose or anything. My head hurts so bad. This movie follows the story of Frankenstein, which if you don't know, I'll run it by you. A captain of a ship stuck in the Arctic discovers a man left for dead. He takes him in, and in doing so attracts the attention of a monstrous being who starts attacking the ship and his crew before eventually being thrown off. The man they saved, a Dr. Victor Frankenstein, then recounts his cautionary tale. A tale about trying to conquer death and daddy issues by creating a monster out of people bits and then immediately giving it daddy issues. First of all, this movie is absolutely stunning. The style, the sets, the costuming, the practical effects, Del Toro has undeniably created a world for this story to live and breathe in. And god damn it, does it breathe. The acting is also really good here. Jacob Elordi, I think, has earned his place as an actor who has gone beyond being the white boy of the month. Oscar Isaac is, as always, a treat. He plays such a good, unlikable character with the kind of charisma and charm that makes you need to take a cold shower after. Now, it's rare that I can say I've read the book, but I've read the book, and I think the movie does a lot that gives it the feel of the book. But it doesn't quite capture some of the nuance the story should have. Nothing about this movie is subtle in how it interprets the text. There's literally a part where someone goes, "You're the monster, Victor. You were the monster all along." Did we really need that? Is anyone going into Frankenstein without knowing, like, that's the point? Oh, you mean the guy that's shoving dead bodies together, trying to bone his brother's fiancée and beating the little freak he's got chained up in his basement? You mean that's the monster? But this guy looks weird and gross. You can't fool me. Now, did I care about the nuance while watching this movie? No. I had a fever, I felt like shit, and it looked really cool. Okay? Give me a break. I really thought I was gonna give this movie a very high score, but having to actually review it and reflect upon it made me realize it's not as good as it could have been. So I'm unfortunately giving Frankenstein a 3.5 out of 5. Next. Pitch Perfect is strangely not nominated for much at this year's Oscars, but it was the movie that I watched next. Pitch Perfect follows Becca, with one C. That's always bothered me, who joins an all-female a cappella group called the Barden Bellas during her freshman year of college. In doing so, she revamps their traditional uptight style in a way that gives them a fighting chance against the best a cappella team to ever do it, the all-male singing group on campus known as the Treblemakers. All the while, she struggles to balance her time on the team with her true passion: song mashups. Yeah, that's her passion. There's also a Shakespearean subplot in which her star-crossed lover, Jessie of Treblemakers fame, wants only to be hers, but she, alas, has made an oath to the Bellas never to bone one of the Treblemakers. What I'm trying to say is this movie's just like F1, but really good. Pitch Perfect makes the bold choice to ask, what if we made a movie about racing cars, but instead of racing, they were singing, and instead of being in cars, they were singing. Both movies focus on a team stuck in their old ways, and without a win soon, that team is in serious jeopardy. So they need a new strategy. They need someone who's gonna shake up the competition. That's right. Becca is Brad Pitt. Without her and her rebellious 2012 alt-girl attitude,
that's my dick,
to push the envelope and tell them to use mashups instead of not mashups while singing, they wouldn't have won the competition at the end. The same competition that leads them to be so big that the second movie starts with them singing for the president for some reason. I don't know. The second one's bad. I don't know why I brought it up. Alright, sue me. This isn't part of the best pictures. I needed a comfort watch, and when this popped on the suggestion after watching Frankenstein on Netflix in my feverish state, I said, yes, that's exactly what I need. I couldn't help myself. This movie's one of the best 2010s comedies out there, with such jokes as, she's not running, she's fat. Okay, maybe it's not perfect. And does it really deserve to be named among these heavy hitters being nominated for Best Picture in 2026? Yes, it does. 6 out of 5. Next. I know. It's my favorite Best Picture nominee, too. The next morning, I was feeling good enough to get out of the house, and before my noon class, my friend Phil and I thought it would be fun to catch a matinee of the new Markiplier movie. This movie, based on an indie horror game of the same name, follows Markiplier as a convict named Simon. Simon is promised his freedom if he successfully pilots this small claustrophobic submarine called the Iron Lung into an ocean of blood on a desolate moon. Reminder, it's 11 a.m. and I'm high on cough medicine in this movie theater. In this post-apocalyptic future, something called the Silent Rapture caused all habitable planets and stars to disappear, leaving humanity to survive on decaying space stations. Simon is tasked with descending to the bottom of the blood ocean and taking pictures and samples of all the crazy shit down there. Hijinks ensue. And you know what? They're pretty good hijinks. Now I'm a little internet pig boy. And even if this movie was bad and critics were saying so, I would still make it out to the theater to go watch it. I mean, it's Markiplier from video games. But here's the thing. This movie is making indie box office history, and it's pretty solid too. That's exciting. I'm excited. Parasocially, but nonetheless. Oh shit. I've been watching this guy since I was a kid. I watched his narrative endeavors before this. I watched A Date with Markiplier, A Heist with Markiplier, In Space with Markiplier, and now I've seen like a genuinely competent piece of serious media from Markiplier. That's super rad. Now, would I take my girlfriend to go see this? No. But that's because I hate her. In all seriousness, it's an eldritch horror movie, which alone is a genre I don't think we get enough of, and it's done more than competently. Great camera work, cool effects, and Mark is pretty good at acting. He's not great, but I think that might be more so because I know I'm watching Markiplier. I think that ruins it. But if I showed this to, like, my mom, I feel like maybe she wouldn't care. Anyways, I'd give it like a 3.5 out of 5. Next!
Please don't stop the, please don't stop the, please don't stop the music.
Listen. The same day I watched Iron Lung, I had classes until 9:20 p.m. By the time I got home, the idea of watching a 2-hour, 40-minute movie about a Norwegian family's struggles seemed like a bit more than I wanted to chew on. So when Phil turned on Pitch Perfect, I didn't even mention I had watched it a day ago. I just sat back and strapped in for round 2. Ow. I failed, by the way. I don't know if that's been clear. The rest of this video is not about the Oscar nominees. Sorry. I'll get to those some other time. I promise. I have seen Begonia, I have seen Sinners, I've seen Marty Supreme, I've seen One Battle After Another. I'm more ahead than you think, but I do want to rewatch those movies before I do any sort of rating or ranking. So, hang on. Also, Pitch Perfect was even better the second time. 7 out of 5. Next. I'm over here now. Don't make a big deal of it. This is unironically one of my favorite movies of all time. So when it popped its way into the Netflix suggestions after me and Phil finished watching Pitch Perfect, and Phil said, I've actually never seen that, I knew what had to be done. I think its greatness lies in how it subverts your expectations. It presents itself as this cookie-cutter rom-com right down to the terrible title. Crazy stupid fun fact. While it was in production, this movie actually didn't have a name, and they were offering anyone on set a free iPad if they could come up with a good one. Steve Carell's actually come out and said that he hates what they landed on, that he can't imagine a group of college guys going to the theater and asking for 5 tickets to Crazy Stupid Love, please. And he's totally right. It's a stinker of a title. But the movie itself is great. It doesn't start with a meet cute, it starts with a divorce. We meet Cal, a middle-aged man who's lost touch with what it means to be himself, and Emily, his wife, who's been cheating on him because she's unhappy with the marriage. Out at dinner, she drops a bomb on him by telling him she's been cheating on him and that she wants a divorce. Cal, who hasn't been single since high school, is completely lost. He starts sulking at this bar every night, and it catches the attention of Ryan Gosling, who takes pity on him and gives him a full makeover. He helps him get laid, teaches him confidence, the whole 9. Meanwhile, Ryan Gosling is dealing with his own stuff. He's a player who's been coasting through his life picking up women until the one that said no, Emma Stone, comes back into his life. The movie is great. Watch it. There's a couple subplots with his kid and the babysitter. I don't really give a shit about that, but they're there, so. Now, is the cinematography jaw-dropping? No. Are the performances award-winning? No. There's even bits where the writing falls a bit flat. Like the stuff with his kid. God, I hate his kid. But that's not what all movies are about. You smell that? Smells like a shoehorned lesson to the video. Point is, not every movie needs to be built for the Academy. Watching the Oscar nominees is something you should do to tap into the culture and watch some of the coolest artistic movies of the year. And also F1. But when you're sick, when you're shivering but also sweating and you can't even think straight, relive some of the classics. Shut your brain down and watch All Reliable. Then watch it again. That's what I did. And do I regret it? Yes, this video's a fucking mess. What am I gonna call this? I watched 3 nominees and then the Markiplier movie. What am I doing? I give Crazy Stupid Love a 4.5 out of 5. See you Friday, Paulo.